Are you guys thinking about getting some cows for your homestead? How about some big fluffy Highlands like this? Well, I'm going to go through some things that we've learned about having Highlands and pass that knowledge on to you. There's some things that apply in general to all cows, and there's some things that apply specifically to these guys. These right here. Right? Before you decide on getting Highland cows for your homestead, here's some specific information that you should know. One of the things to factor in with Highlands specifically are the horns. Both the males and females have them, and it makes them tough to work with sometimes because the commercial equipment out there that's made for, say, the commercial dairy or commercial beef industry is not designed to work with cows with horns. So another thing that we've learned having these cows for a few years is one of the decisions we made at the start was smart and one was not so smart. When we bought Bui here and Freya here, Bui was already pregnant and she had a baby that we brought here with her. So she was already confirmed to be able to give birth. She had had a baby before that last one too. So we knew that she would have no problem giving birth. Highlands are known for their ability to give birth easily, but you never know. Sometimes they could have problems, some not. And if they've already given birth before, then that's a good sign that going forward, things shouldn't be a problem as well. Versus Freya, when we got her, she was just a young female. I believe she was only a year old and she had never given birth before, and we've had one hell of a time getting her pregnant now. Joe over there will be the second bull she's been with, and I think we've had Joe for just over a year and a half now, and no baby yet with Freya. So we're hoping now that she is pregnant. We've seen some action in the fall. But again, if you're going to go out and buy cows, getting one that has been pregnant or one that is already pregnant will go a long way to helping you get further down the road. Buying a female that already has a baby or is pregnant will save you a bit of money as well. They're a bit more than a regular female that isn't pregnant, but they're less than buying two females or buying a female and a male. So when I talk about commercial equipment being geared towards non-horned cows, this is what I'm talking about, is the chute here, or the crush here and the chute behind me. These chutes come in metal and you can buy tubs and chutes, so it's all metal set up and allows you to basically force the cows into a crush or force them into a sorting pen or up onto a trailer, that kind of thing. So most of these, when you buy them commercially in metal, they're designed for cows without horns. However, most of the chutes will work for Highlands. Crushes, on the other hand, are mainly designed again for non-horned cows. So when you get something like a Highland who has the big horns, trying to get them to come into the chute, trying to work the gates on this, it makes it a lot more difficult with those horns. So it's something to be aware of in the future. Again, if you've really decided on going Highlands, there are some other options in this regard, but they're expensive. We've seen one that has, it only comes up maybe 4 feet, 5 feet high. So it's the same height as, say, the cow's back. And then what happens is there's nothing on top except at the front. So when they put their head through the front, then a gate comes down over top of their head to prevent them from lifting up and going backwards and that sort of thing. And the gate's set on wide supports. So again, their horns can get through that without a problem whatsoever. Whereas this one, they have to move their head around. They have to kind of find their way and feel their way through this. So it makes it a bit more difficult, again, to run them through. This style of chute compared to, say, one designed specifically for them. The other option for dealing with Highlands too is getting gates or getting crushes that are designed for, say, Texas Longhorn and that kind of thing. And what they are is kind of two bigger style gates. They're a lot taller, and it's a box. So you open up one side and the cow walks in, and then you can close the other side on them. And they have these long openings for the horns to fit through. And that allows you to not run them through a chute, but say they walk into the box to feed or something like that, or you're able to lead them into there, and then you're able to close the gate instead of having them walk into an enclosed space. So one of the things we learned right away after getting our first cows was we should have built more infrastructure and more support for ourselves and for the cows before we even got the cows. We were in a rush. We were thinking, yeah, let's get cows. And we built this first field that envelops the trees. And then we built the second field back here and kind of opened it up to them, planting grass afterwards. And then we built the other holding pen that's up there by the garage. And we should have had that all in place first before we got the cows. And then the chute. We did that again as we were building this field. And again, all of that should have been built before we got the cows. It would have made our life so much easier to deal with. Having to build all this afterwards, it was a lot more work, and it was kind of on the fly as we did it. Instead of taking our time to build it right, it would have made a huge difference from the start if we had built it all and then got the cows here. So one of the problems we did have with the infrastructure as well, not getting it set up properly in the start, is our chute here that leads to the crush and Freya right here. So we got in the farrier to do their feet, and we left a small gap in this fence right here. And it was a gap that we didn't think a cow could go through. It was a gap that was able for us to go from one side of the fence to the other without climbing on top of stuff. We could just go through the hole. However, if a cow can stick their head through a hole, chances are they're going to make their body go too. And that's what Freya did, is when we were putting her through the chute to go into the crush for the farrier to do her feet, she decided to stick her head out that hole, and her body followed, and she got out into this area where it's not fenced. Thankfully, we were able to rope her and drag her back into the field. But again, if we had done the proper work ahead of time to get that chute set up properly, it would have made our life so much easier. And now the problem is too, is Freya here knows she can also get through that chute. She's jumped it before as well. So we can't put her through this chute anymore because she knows she can get out. So this coming year, we're going to have to build a new chute that she can't escape from. Now for the infrastructure as well, it took us a while to get this electric box hooked up here to be able to heat the hot water tank. It was kind of a rush the first year when we had the winter, and we knew it was coming, but we weren't prepared. So being prepared for the winter, the summer, all these different seasons, it makes a huge difference again on your life being easier having those cows. So another reason to get all that infrastructure and the chute built and the crush done and a holding pen done before the cows get here is you really want some way to hold the cows. Having to come out and try and rope the cows, or trying to chase them into a corner, or just catch them, really is not a fun way to do things. And that is one of the things you'll have to do, is if you want to, say, tag the little baby here, well, then you're going to have to hold her. If you want to worm them, well, they have to be friendly enough for you to get close to them to worm them. If you want to do their feet, well, they're going to have to go through the crush and come out and either stay in the crush there, or go out to a farrier who has his own setup, who's going to do their feet. If you want to put a halter on the little one so that you can lead her around and get her even more friendly, you're going to have somewhere to tie them up and hold them as well. So having a holding pen, having the chute, having a crush, even having some stalls as well. It doesn't have to be in a barn or anything, it can be in a shelter, but having somewhere, again, to be able to get your hands on the cows makes a huge difference. So another thing to think about is whether you want your cows registered or unregistered. You can see here Freya's registered. She's got the tag in her ear there, where little Legatha here is not registered. She did come out of our two cows, Bui and Joe, who are both registered as well. So there's different reasons for registering and not registering. We really should get her registered. We're going to see if we still can. One of the reasons we do that, or we want registered cows for ourselves for the most part, is being able to trace the bloodlines. So what we can do is we can go back to the breeder where we got our cows and say, we're going to buy a cow or a bull from this other farm, and the registered name and number is this. Can you check it against our cow that we bought from you and see if their bloodlines cross at all? So you don't want to go out and buy a bull that is brothers with your cow. Now the drawback to registered cows is they're harder to find and usually a bit more expensive. So if you're buying some cows that you want to stick in the field and raise up for a summer or a season, or maybe keep for a year and fatten up for food, then you might want to go unregistered. It's probably easier to find through different sales channels, and it'll probably cost you a little less than getting a registered one. Now another tip that we found very helpful is getting to know different breeders, joining an organization. There's an organization for the Highland cows here in Canada, and there's probably an organization for, I would think, most cows or different breeders, that sort of thing. So getting to know your breeder makes a huge difference in the long term, being able to ask questions, bounce ideas off of, getting more information, going through different problems that you might have that you haven't encountered, they might have. So you can find out how they dealt with it and make your life easier that way too. Now when you're talking to different breeders too, if they're not going to send you pictures, if they're not going to send you some video, if they don't want to give you the history on the cow and that sort of thing, I'd be a little skeptical of dealing with it, because you might inherit some problems that you don't want. You never know if the cow's lame, or there might be other situations, it's sick in some way, or can't give birth like we're dealing with. However, that's not the breeder's fault. That's something that we've dealt with on our own. But being able to see the cow that you might want to buy, see pictures of that cow, again, see in video of that cow walking, moving around, interacting with other cows, that way you know everything is kind of on the up and up. The more information you have going into the purchase of your cows, the better off you're going to be. And breeders that we've encountered are more than happy to give you that information. They're happy to share the stories of the cow. So being able to use them as a resource is a very big help. So guys, with all that said, I hope this helps you make some decisions going into your homestead, whether you want cows or not, what you should do before you get your cows, whether you want to go a different breed or if you want to get Highlands. It's some different information to help you make those decisions and help you get prepared to have the cows in the long run. Do you like this video, guys? Check this one out here too. Thanks again.